And thank you for joining us for the session this morning about 3 quick wins across small teams that you can implement today, day one, with AI. My name's Tom. I'm the practice architect for workplace transformation at Google, and I work with businesses essentially across the world to help them understand how to use AI in order to achieve the goals and solve some of the challenges that they have in their business every single day. So for this session, we promised you 3 simple ways to boost your workflows. And we're going to do that not just by showing and telling you, we're actually going to talk to some businesses that are using AI today and how they've adopted AI so quickly to helpfully change and solve some of those problems that they have as well. Really what we want to do as a goal across all of this presentation is we want to deprioritize the busy work and get people back to doing what they're really good at. So today I'm going to be joined by Yonatan Biri from Wix, one of our big partners here at Google, and Tamika Whitney Jackson from the Whitney Designs. And in this session, what we're going to do is showcase how that unified AI workplace can be a force multiplier for small or lean teams. But before I bring up Yonatan and Tamika, I want to talk a little bit about the challenges that are facing businesses today and help us set the scene for what those challenges are and how we can solve some of these problems. So, as we travel across the world, like I said, I lead a global business, and we have to talk to businesses in all countries and all shapes and sizes. And what we find is a number of common themes across these businesses. Now, we typically talk about these themes as being lean teams. But a lean team can be in a business of 5, and it can be in a business of 5,000. In fact, at Google, we also run very lean teams. And so as we think about these lean, highly performant teams, we find that they really seem to face the same challenges over and over again. And I'm sure many of these challenges resonate with people here in the room today. So in lean organizations, we really think about the teams being the growth engine. The people are the growth engine of the organization. But they're forced to wear too many hats, they're drowning in busy work, and often your best talent is being drained by that daily grind. We find that businesses don't allow their people to get back to what they're good at, what they were hired to do, what they have a degree in, what they're really specialized at, but rather there's manual busy work, there's connections, there's responding to emails. Show of hands, how many people in here really feel like they're buried in urgent tasks every day? I'm sure we all do, right? Like no matter what size your business is, there is always something that needs doing. You are always behind a little bit. And then as a result of falling behind, you essentially become flying blind. Your response times to clients drop. Your SLAs on projects go behind. When you're too busy to get work done, everything else begins to fall behind as well. And certainly last but not least, flying blind with siloed data. This is critical. Every single day we're making business critical decisions. And so many people tell us in businesses of all size that they know their data is there somewhere in the organization, but they can't access it. Or they can't get the insights from all of that data in order to make a critical decision. And so if you're thinking about, hey, how much stock do I want to order for next year? I have to make a decision about forecasting for Q4 and for the holiday period, and I don't really know what the trends are. How do I connect all this data? Now, when you have a big data science team, like some of us do at Google, wonderful, you can tap into them. But that's not available to everyone, and it's certainly not available to every team. And so how do you get the data available to help you make those business-critical decisions in a timely manner? So when your internal teams face these challenges, as we talked about, you easily lose sight of the ultimate priority, and that's servicing your customers and keeping them happy. In a study we did with Amplify, we actually found it takes only 2 negative experiences with a particular business for a customer to drop them entirely. So how do you avoid that? How do you enable your teams to get more done without straining those resources that you already have? And that's what businesses at the frontier of AI are really thinking about. So they're moving from AI just completing individual tasks, responding to basic questions, to force multiplying their teams by enabling AI to automate end-to-end processes and workflows across the entire business. And so that's what we're going to focus on today. Not just kind of this journey that we had, that we started with around, hey, a basic chatbot that broke the internet. Then we moved a little bit into, oh, I've got some automated workflows that can help me do it. What I want to talk about now is this next frontier of AI. It's kind of the third wave of this revolution. And that's the idea of having this agent-powered workplace. Think of those agents as customizable experts that you can build to handle often very complex tasks. And they're going to not only automate that, but they're going to do it on their own. They don't need human intervention. You can give them the autonomy to go and complete these tasks without having to get involved unless the agent needs you. So where a chatbot answers a question for you, which is, for the most part, everyone's experience of AI today, an agent is going to get the work done for you. And that's what I want everyone to know when they leave the room today is one way they can do this, day one, with some of the tools that we have. So how do we think about this? Why do we think about agents being particularly helpful? And what's the biggest blocker to an agent being helpful? Why did we design Gemini Enterprise, for example? What we really think about is this idea of context silos. Context is more than just your basic data. It's more than just your spreadsheets and your sheets and your Trixes. It's more than your database. It's more than your customer CRM and your ERP. Really, context is about how that all works together, how people work together, the style of working, how often you talk, what you say when you do talk. And so when we built Gemini Enterprise, it wasn't just about how do I reason over a lot of data, it's also how do I reason over a lot of people? How do I think about all of the interactions and the social interactions that make a business work? And when all of that comes together, and we break down these context walls across both the user context and the business context, that's where agents can become really powerful and can stand in and help actual users in the organization. So let's start with a quick overview. I know we've heard a lot about it over the last couple of days. In fact, Thomas spent a lot of his keynote on Gemini Enterprise yesterday. But let's start with Gemini Enterprise just to ground everyone on exactly what it is. So we built Gemini Enterprise over the last 12 to 24 months to help your business work faster together in a single connected pane of glass that really brings all of your AI into one place. And that's the point here, a single user experience, both to ask those questions, to build those agents with low code, and then to tweak the workflows you have as well. It's going to understand your business. It's going to read and make sense of that information, not just across the data we talked about, but also those interpersonal relationships that you have. And then, of course, you can create those custom assistants for the job right from within right from within Gemini Enterprise. But as we think about how does Gemini Enterprise know how people work together, that's the second part of this really important equation. That's where Workspace comes in. Workspace has all of that data. It knows who you're talking to. It knows how you're talking. It knows your style of writing. It knows how you email. It manages your calendar. These are all really critical pieces of information that make an agent effective. And one without the other is really dampening your ability to perform and to produce something very, very impactful. And so it really creates a powerful cycle when you have both of these things working together. The work your team does in Workspace makes Gemini Enterprise smarter for the business. And in turn, Gemini Enterprise can create work and then help you bring that together and collaborate and talk about it and manage it in Google Workspace. And so these are really two peas in a pod. It's a flywheel of productivity that we have across the organization, bringing Gemini Enterprise and Workspace together. And you've heard a little bit about this, and you'll continue to hear about it today, about how we're bringing these products even closer together to make them more powerful. So that's the two layers of what we're going to talk about today. Gemini Enterprise on one side, providing that central business-wide context, and then Google Workspace, providing those AI-powered tools that people are using every single day to get work done. And that magic multiplier effect is how they work together, and Tamika and Yonatan are going to really show you a lot of how that works today, and then we'll show you a demo as well in future. Now, because these information systems share a common context, the AI in your email, for example, is not just going to know about your emails. It's going to know about your CRM. It's going to know about your customers. It's going to know about your stock and your inventory levels. So I can open Workspace and I can reply to an email where a partner says to me, hey, how much inventory do you have on hand of this? And it's able to answer, not just with the context in my emails, but with the full context of how my business works. So it's an incredibly powerful connective tissue. So with this in mind, we didn't just want to keep talking about those theoretical use cases today. I want to show you how real businesses are leveraging this to deliver day one value across their unified AI workplace. So I've brought with me two of our partners, obviously Yonatan from Wix and Tamika from the Whitney Designs. And we're going to talk about how Gemini is already taking work off Tamika's plate to help her get more done. Now, they're solving for those top 3 pain points. They're solving for wearing too many hats, too many tasks, and too much fragmented data. And we're going to talk about how they're doing that in those 3 chapters as well, so you can really see how Gemini Enterprise is going to play along with that. And then afterwards, we're going to bring everyone back up again, and we'll have a quick Q&A to allow everyone to ask some questions and obviously talk about a little more how you can get started on day 1 value. And so with that, I would like to invite Yonatan and Tamika to join me on stage to get the panel started. Hello, hello.
Hi.
Oh,
Thank you, Tom.
thank you, Tom.
Great. Do you want to start by introducing yourselves, Yonatan?
Yeah, thanks. Hi, everyone. I'm Yonatan. I'm a product manager at Wix, where we build AI-based tools to help small teams automate their busy work so they can focus on what they actually love doing. And today, I have one of our top partners here with me, Tamika.
Hi, everyone. I'm Tamika. I'm founder, brand strategist, and web designer at The Whitney Designs. We're a small agency, so when Tom told me about small, quick wins for small teams, I was like, sign me up, because this is my life every day, literally.
Great. Yeah, no, thank you both for being here today. I really do appreciate it. And I'm excited that we can show everyone not just a theoretical answer to how Gemini and Gemini Enterprise and Workspace is making life easier, but we can make that really real with what you're doing day to day. So let's start off with that first challenge that I mentioned. We talked about wearing too many hats. You're hired for one role, and then you have to go and do 5 other roles. You have to be an expert in everything. And really what we find at Google is that's the biggest drain on productivity. You have people that are trying to upskill on things they're not experts at while they're trying to just get their primary function done. So as we think about that repetitive busy work and that research and how you have to do all of this stuff in between, how did you think about updating this process, of course, in your business?
So I have leads coming in from everywhere. I have the Wix Marketplace, I have people coming through email, and I also have this Wix chat on my website, so people actually put in leads in there as well. So the noise is constant. I'm designing, I'm already doing client revisions, so I have to stop and reply to those, so it's really, really breaking my creative process.
It sounds like you're trying to stay in your creative zone while you have all these different leads coming in, piling up in your Gmail, and then you have to probably follow up and schedule calls with them, right? Mm-hmm. Like, what's the volume of this noise? How big is it?
On a good week, I would say 15 to 30 leads, and trying to respond to each one of them with a personalized response, because I really do custom websites. It's really hard to stop and then reply to each one of those messages.
I imagine it can get really busy for you. So how did we tackle this?
So what I did was I built a handoff tool that would create this automated drafter response with my next 3 15-minute slots. So it literally scans my calendar, Gemini, and it gives them the next 3 times I'm free, and I just tweak it and send it off.
And you did this all by yourself, right? You had no developer involved because Workspace Studio is a no-code tool. How long did it take you to set this up?
I would say 30 minutes or so on the first version because I was trying to figure out how it works. But once I did it, I told it to label the leads coming in, draft a reply, it scans my calendar for the 15-minute slots, and then what I do too, like sometimes I don't want to talk to people on a Friday morning, so I tell it don't offer them morning slots, or I tell them block Fridays because I want to start the weekend early.
Smart. Very smart.
That's really cool because they have the business moving forward in the background, and that's exactly the pattern that we're seeing with AI, who gets to be your assistant so you can focus on the important things.
Yeah, I don't want to be the receptionist.
So are you seeing a difference?
Yeah, so before I would probably try to get on the replies ASAP, but sometimes it would take me a full day or I might push it to the next day because I just wanted to get something done. So now it's quick. And now clients tell me they chose me from the marketplace because I responded so quickly with real availability, not just a let me get back to you kind of thing.
I love that. Yeah, and look, it's not just, I think, people in the creative industries that are in a particular flow. When I go and talk to many of our FinServe clients, the most expensive role in the organization, even at a big bank, is your financial advisors. And what we find is that financial advisors are spending 20% of their time with clients and 40% of their time on manual entry. So you're paying all of this money for these financial advisors to break their flow, to not be working with customers, and to just sit down and enter stuff on the sheet. And so that's the type of force multiplier that I think is really important here in being able to keep you in your flow.
And I appreciate it.
Great. Okay, so let's move on to the next topic that we had, which was about falling behind on your work. And so you said you signed up, you started the Whitney Designs, and you said you signed up for one role, but you're also the receptionist as you managed, and you're dealing with all of kind of the triage of emails that are coming in as well. I think we all have this, we had a show of hands before, we all have the same problem where we feel like there's too much work coming in and not enough resources to go and do that work. Let's think about some of the big challenges you have. And I know as a creative, because I was previously a creative as well, I think the biggest challenge for me was always starting with a blank page. I get a new customer in there, and where do I even begin with this? How do you think about getting started on that so you don't fall behind?
So as a creative director, I'm a little bit, I wouldn't say controlling, but I want to take charge of the product that we deliver. So what I do is, I'm the creative director that briefs my team. So I still have to be the messenger from the client to brief my team. So what I usually do is record those meetings, and then I used to try to re-record, like replay it to make sense of the notes, and then try to come up with what's the direction for this project.
And I imagine it can get really messy during the discovery call, right? Because customers have different needs and they throw ideas at you, and then you try and make sense of it all.
Yeah. It was really challenging and time consuming, and then I'd have to me understanding and then tell it to my team.
So how do we go about tackling this challenge?
So I run the call on Google Meet, and then Gemini takes the transcript, and then once I'm done with the call, Gemini has that transcript waiting for me, and what I do is put it into a Gemini gem.
I want to pause on a gem for a second, because a gem is a specialized Gemini kind of agent working for you on a specific business context. So could you share what type of information did you put inside the gem?
So if you visit my website, you would see like I have a particular style and taste. So I treat Gemini or the gem like my team. So I talk to it like if I were briefing my team. So it knows my typography, it knows my layout. I tell it my preferences, basically. So when it gives me the prompt, so it gives me this prompt, and I copy and paste that into Wix Harmony, which is this new AI tool to help me create websites. And once I paste that prompt into Wix Harmony, it actually yields a starting point for me, a website with layout, pages, everything.
That's what I find so powerful, because we went from a call where you get to be focused and just taking that, extracting it into a text, putting it inside Wix Harmony, and then you get like a great starting point, an amazing website to start with. It's really powerful.
And I just want to say, I'm not cutting out my team, because we still have to polish, right? It still has to look and feel like the Whitney Designs, but it really cut down the time of me like scraping the internet looking for inspiration, me just trying to figure out where to start, because that, like, I take a little while to start. Yeah.
Awesome. Cool. How much time would you say it saves you?
One client is like 6 hours, so if you multiply that by the amount of leads I get like a week back of my time for my kids.
That's no small task, I think. And look, what I do love is that you've brought up Notebook LM, which is a super powerful tool. And you said, you take a client call and you put it into Notebook LM, and you ask it for trends, and you ask it to build a brief. I don't think people quite realize how powerful this tool is. Show of hands, has anyone used Notebook LM in the audience here? So for example, for my sales teams, I put every call in there. Every single customer call they're taking is going into Notebook LM. And then we're going in there and we're asking it trends. What were the big trends that are coming up here? The context window is huge. And so if you can begin to mass analyze so much of that information in your business in a single tool, you're really in a really powerful place. So the context window there, I think, is a really powerful thing to land. Okay, let's switch gears. Let's talk about the thing that I think is probably most critical for a lot of these business, and that's siloed data. And so as we think about these lean teams trying to make business critical decisions and really on the fly making a life or death decision about their business, how are you thinking about that? How are you using AI to maybe speed up that process of these disparate data sources?
So I must say, Notebook LM, I'm probably biased because I feel like it's the best feature ever. I had this great idea during a call with a client to do a workshop this summer on branding and web design. So any students want to get into like businesses like mine, or any adults who have businesses like mine, but it's not as strategic or well planned out, I wanted to plan a workshop for that. But I have no experience building workshops or writing course modules, that kind of thing. So what I did was I uploaded the transcript from the phone call because that person would have been a potential student. So I took the transcript from the call, put it in Notebook LM, and I told it to do a deep research, scraping the internet for similar courses to my idea, because I wanted my course to be better than average. So I also told it I want pricing and the modules I should cover. And then I explained to it what my process is now to package it into a blueprint.
Amazing.
That's the first time you're doing something like that, right? Like a workshop. So you went from, I have no idea how to do this, to kind of having a full structured plan. And that's really exciting.
Yeah, so the idea I had was I wanted it to be hybrid, like 3 days online and 2 days in person for the hands-on, like building the website part. So I just told it, create a structured plan with pricing and the modules, and it yielded the results. I had it sellable by the end of the day at my fingertips.
Amazing, amazing. Like a whole new product, essentially. Like.
Yes.
Wow. Do you want to tell us about how you went to visualize that and how you went to think about it?
I want to walk you through this quick demo.
Oh, there you go.
Is it playing?
Yeah,
I don't think it's
I
playing.
think it's not playing, but you can see the result of the workshop right here.
So I wanted to show you guys how I actually did it, because what I did was, again, upload the transcript of the phone call into Notebook LM, told it on the left to do like the deep research. Once it brought up the websites that had the similar courses, I then told it, hey, using the deep research results and the phone call, and I told it a little bit about the course idea, it started to create that prompt for Wix Harmony. I looked at the mind map tools, it did the pitch, because I wanted to pitch it to schools too. So it created the audio overview, so I could have played that for a principal or something. The mind map showed me the modules for each course, which chapter I should do it, which one should be hybrid, which one should be in person. And then I copied the prompt into Wix Harmony, and Wix Harmony is a new tool that actually creates websites off of the prompt. So that part, when I said creating from scratch, I didn't even have to put from Notebook LM to build a website. I just pasted that into Wix Harmony. And what that did was create a workshop-ready starting platform for me. So the idea from Notebook LM, from that phone call, was already a website, like in the same day.
Incredible.
Without paying someone, you know?
It's amazing, and I think that if I look back, like before we had Gemini AI, before we had Wix AI, I think that 2 years ago, if a client would come up to you and say, this is my idea, and I think you probably would have skipped the opportunity altogether, right?
Yeah, because I would have to pay, you know, people who build courses. I would have had to pay for that, then pay for the copywriting, the sales funnel page, all of that. And I didn't have to do any of that at all.
Yeah, incredible.
Sellable by the end of new revenue stream.
Yes.
That's amazing. I think that once you have the AI really built in your workflow, that's where we see things change. And I think that if we think about it for a second, it started with a spark of an idea from a conversation, and it got to be a new product on your website that same day. But it's not just getting things done faster, which is true.
Yeah.
AI helps you get things done faster, but it also allows you to do things that you wouldn't have done before.
Yeah, I would say act on it, because, you know, we have our notes on our phone with all these amazing ideas that never come to life. I feel like if Notebook LM didn't exist, the workshop probably wouldn't be launching this summer. I'm actually really doing it this summer if you want to send your kids. Yeah.
Great. So it's truly a product that could not have existed a couple of years ago, as you say, Yonatan. So I think it's very impressive. Awesome. Hey, thank you so much. Thank you. This was fantastic to hear exactly how you're using it and to see kind of the real world impact, I think, of a lot of these tools. I mean, we've talked here really around how you've got these quick wins from being buried in urgent tasks, you know, making sure you're not distracted and having to go and answer emails in the middle of your creative workflow. You're not falling behind anymore. You're able to kind of build, use a Notebook LM, analyze those notes, send those briefs to your team and get them started. And then, of course, you've made a brand new decision about building a workshop, which you never would have been able to do because you didn't have the analysis before.
No.
So really impressive, and thank you so much for joining us here today. Thank you both.
No
Thank you.
problem. Thank
Awesome.
you.
Thank you, guys. Great. So it's really impressive, I think, to see just these day one use cases. You know, you start with Gemini Enterprise, you start with Gemini, you turn it on, and you can do everything Tamika talked about here day one. There's no setup required. There's no custom connectors required. You're just using the tools as they are meant to be used right from day one. And so now I want to switch gears a little bit. And what I want to do is talk about the future of what an agentic workforce looks like. So taking from these generative AI tools and really moving into a Gemini Enterprise adopted business and seeing how, when we look at the latest capabilities in Gemini AI, some of the things that you saw obviously in the keynote yesterday, and some of the things that you're going to hear about later on today, we can turn it into a really effective workflow. And I'm going to take you through a demo that we recorded earlier, just because the demo gods are obviously never on our side through these things. But it's going to show you how we solve those 3 universal challenges, and we're going to run it down against a clock, similar to the keynote yesterday. So in the next 4 minutes, I'm going to show you how GE can plan an end-to-end marketing campaign. Now, that's something that would normally have taken weeks, if not months, to get done. And I want you to imagine that we're a regional sales manager for a regional group of stores. And I want to boost my sales. To do that, I really need to see what's performing across my brand. I need to see why it's performing, and then I want to apply those learnings from one brand to the other brands that aren't performing nearly as well. And the problem here is that to do all of that, as I mentioned before, my data is really scattered. I'm going to have an inventory tool, I'm going to have a marketing tool, I'm going to have a CRM, I'll have a campaign planning tool, I'll probably have a ticketing system. And I want to show you how with live Gemini Enterprise connectors, in some cases if you're using Gemini Business, one-click connectors, can help you solve that in 4 minutes or less. So let's start. So I'm going to start here. Is it working? There we go. OK, so this is where the Gemini Enterprise app comes into play. As I think about it, I'm utilizing deep research here to look at all the available data and find out what brands of mine are performing best. Now, the first step here is it's going to give me a proposed research plan. And you can see in here, it has the research details. And I'm going to begin executing against that plan. What you can see in here is it's looking at that, and then step by step, it's going through exactly what we need to look at. Now, you'll see it following those steps to produce a final report that is super detailed. With our deep research agent, you can think of it similar to using a consultant. It's going to reason over all the data within your business, but it's also going to pore over data from the web and up-to-date live insights. Now, one of the things we have that no one else has is the unmatched power of the Google search engine and indexing. So we can find even the most niche results in here. Now you'll see the output. It's going to contain commentary and tables. And this is a super detailed analysis that we have going on here. You can see it's not only referenced individual performance, but why it thinks that things are performing. So let's now do some enterprise-wide search. Let's look at those products and see why Verana is underperforming. So I'm going to dig into Verana. I'm going to search for relevant documents. And you can see in here that Gemini Enterprise app is pulling in data from all of my linked sources. And those sources can be live. So let's look at live data now being pulled in. I want to look at the inventory and get a live update on that. Note that Gemini Enterprise is going to pass through multiple spreadsheets that are stored in Microsoft SharePoint. So it's doing a lot of thinking here. And I'm now able to analyze all of these spreadsheets without having to go into every single one. So multiple data sources is really powerful. Now that I have an understanding of the performance in the industry, what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at Verana ski jackets and kick off some ideas for a marketing campaign. And to do that, the first thing I'm going to do is ask Gemini Enterprise to pull in-stock jackets, and I want to see the images from the catalog as well. That's 2 separate data sources here. So I'm going to bring in those 2 separate data sources, and I want to get a combined output that has in-stock jackets and an image of each of those in-stock jackets. And here you go. It's a bit of thinking that goes into that, but you're able to see it's matched up the jackets to their images as well. So now let's bring this to life with the marketing campaign we talked about. While the latest Imagine and VO models are integrated right into Gemini Enterprise, I'm actually going to invoke a custom ADK agent here. And this agent that we've built is trained on our company's brand guidelines and marketing data. You can see we're not just generating images, we're actually generating a complete asset sheet, specifically invoking both the model that we want and the jacket that we want to perform. And so those look great. Let's now do something different. Let's build out our ads. Now we're building out ads here with titles, descriptions, and even call to action links directly related to our live website. And now we're using Gemini 3 Image Flash, or Nano Banana, to show how it can generate a cohesive image around that prompt. And then taking it to the next level, I'm going to take all those images and all of those ads, and I'm going to build a fully fledged ad campaign. So in this case, I'm telling it what logo to use, what model to use. I'm referencing an image of the jacket. And now that we're super clear here, what we're doing is we're not just activating one agent. We're activating an agent that's orchestrating across multiple agents to not only produce the new assets, but to run quality control as well and check that our logos are correct. And so in, 3 minutes now, we've produced the marketing plan, we've got samples of our creative, and we've quality controlled all of those images as well. And I want to make sure the merchandising team knows exactly what's going on here so they can prepare the store displays. Now, we use a service here called ServiceNow, where we track issues and tickets across the business. That's a third-party service. And so I've asked Gemini Enterprise to go and raise a ServiceNow ticket to give them a heads up about the campaign using the context from this call. And so it's using all the context here. You can see it's created created a ticket, and it's even given me a link to that ticket that I can use with the merchandising team. And so that was very quick, very, very, very quick. In less than 4 minutes, we covered a lot of ground. We saw the power of an end-to-end connected platform that was able to build an entire marketing campaign for us. We began by turning that unstructured data into actionable insights using deep research. We then performed enterprise-wide search because, lo and behold, a lot of folks out there hate their enterprise search options. And we were able to get things like Excel files in SharePoint and compare them and join them together so we don't have to go and open all of those different files. We then brought those creative ideas around the in-stock products to life using Imagine, VO, and our custom ADK agent that we built for our business. And then last, we concluded this by turning it all into action. And we raised a ticket in ServiceNow, provided a links to the creative, we lodged it, and we have a live link to it. And all of that was done, as I say, in 4 minutes here. So super, super quick. That's something that would take weeks, if not months. And I know it was a demo. I know we ran through quickly. But you can see just how compressed that timeline is for a lot of businesses and how we essentially compressed an entire production cycle into a couple of minutes. And so as we think about these themes of wearing multiple hats, of being a data analyst, of being buried behind, you can see just how quickly Gemini Enterprise can play a big role in improving those. Now, I know it was super speedy, and I want to give you guys the data to be able to actually go in and look at this properly, including access to those demos and access to Gemini Enterprise itself. And so in the QR code on the screen here, if you scan it, we've put together a comprehensive guide explicitly for lean teams to tell you how to do exactly what we did today and to show you how we built that demo so you're able to do it yourselves. And if you scan it, you will also get a free trial of Gemini Enterprise that you can begin using today.